Renee Douglas.
Well, we're duty bound to make sure the first question is from a Patreon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm reading.
That's what you're reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Renee Douglas from Patreon would like to know, why do you think Mercury and Venus don't have moons?
Well, Mercury is pretty small.
Right.
Mercury is in fact, Mercury is, I forgot whether it's just slightly bigger or it's just slightly smaller than our moon. So, but it's small. It's much denser. It has a huge iron core, so it's much heavier than the moon. So it's got planet mass,
right?
But its size is small, and it's hard to have something else orbiting you when you're small. Jupiter is huge, has more mass than all the other planets in the solar system, and it has 60 plus moons orbiting it.
60 plus?
It's its own mini planetary system, if you will. But the act of being small doesn't preclude having moons. It's just harder when you're that small and orbiting that close to the sun, because then you have a gravitational tug of war. Okay, who's your daddy? Who's your gravitational allegiance?
Who's your gravity daddy?
Who's your gravity daddy? So, by the way, Pluto is also small. There are like 6 moons in the solar system bigger than Pluto, but Pluto has multiple moons. The point is, that far out in the solar system, there's very little sort of gravitational disturbances from other objects. So you can sustain orbits, however delicate they are, for much longer.
Is size? I always thought size was indicative of whether it was allowed to be a planet or a moon.
No. Well, sort of. Okay. So it turns out if you're really, really small, your gravity loses to the structural integrity of the object. So the rock will take whatever shape it wants. So below a certain size, stuff in the solar system looks like Idaho potatoes.
Yes, I've seen those.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures.
You've seen the picture.
Yeah.
You've seen. In fact, I used to have one here. Yeah. In fact, right up there. Can you reach up and grab that? Yeah, you can reach up. You get it.
Let me grab your potatoes.
Just grab that. This is a precise model. Anyhow, so this is a model of an actual asteroid, and this is sufficiently small that it takes whatever shape the rocks demand of it. All right, and rocks to take their own shape based on the chemistry and how they formed. So, but if this object were larger, then the gravity of the object says, I'm trying to get everything as close to the middle as I can. And there's only one shape you take if everybody tries to get close to the middle, and that's a sphere. Yeah. So to be a planet, you got to be big enough, have enough mass to be a sphere. But that's not the only rule. Pluto's big enough to be a sphere. Now we say, in your orbit, we want you to be dominant. We don't want anything else competing with your orbit. So Pluto is orbiting what we call the Kuiper Belt. There's thousands of other objects orbiting out there with Pluto.
It's littered, right?
It's littered. Great word. Just like the asteroid belt.
Correct.
Littered. So nobody in the asteroid belt owns the space of objects. So they're all asteroids, even though one of the asteroids is big enough to be a sphere. And Pluto's big enough to be a sphere. So the rules are you big enough to be round and significant enough in your...
A little sensitive, but thank you.
Okay. Big enough to be round, and are you dominant enough in your orbit to have cleared it out, so basically you're the only game in town. And if you have to satisfy both of those, then you're a legit planet in the rules.